So this session for today is engagement with heart, using that affective domain to reach out to our students. And you will for those of you that joined us last week, you'll see some carryover from the information from last week. So here is a brief overview of where we're going today. We are going to be talking about the intent, the why this is important. And I suspect that every one of you knows has a perception in your head about why it's important. After all, we are in the teaching profession. But we're also going to be taking a deep look into the variety of engagement types of tools that we can use, and then think about some strategies that perhaps we can add in. I am going to take us back to John Dewey in 1913, a quote from him about the fact that it only works to give our students a challenge when, by doing that, it increases the depth and the scope of their thinking. So for you, think about the challenges that you have dealt with and how that has broadened your perspective of where you are and what you are doing. So here's a few things that just came to me about our why, but I'm going to invite you to at least put some other comments in the chat or open your mic and speak up and share them, because I'm sure there are things that did not come to my mind. I, of course, have done have pulled together some research articles about the topic of engagement, and again, as I said, it really ties in a great deal with what we talked about last week about motivation. And so one of our whys is to generate the desire in our students to know more. We want to present our content, the wonderful reasons that you got into the field that you did. We want to present it in a way that encourages them to want to find out more, to learn more about that. We want to share the excitement of the discovery. It is a wonderful way of moving into where we are and where we want to go by discovering some of the things that are really, really exciting about this field that we're working in. One of the really great overarching whys is to give a perspective of what it is we're doing and how that's going to move them forward, giving them that perspective, that overview look. And again, these are some of the things that we talked about last week that helps them as they move through with their skills at problem solving, helps develop creativity. One of the books that I've been reading lately has to do with what they refer to as critical creativity in our classrooms, is being creative in a way to find out what's there, what do I need to know. And of course, as we mentioned last week, it takes, in order to help them figure out these big questions in the field, they're going to have to develop a little bit of a foundation knowledge for it and develop their own persistence, and it helps with the retention. In thinking about engagement, what have you tried? And I use the term tools, but it does not necessarily mean technology, although we certainly have a wide variety of technology tools. But what have you tried? What has worked for you, or What has not worked? We all have a few things stuck in that in that corner of, yeah, well, that wasn't such a hot idea, but how else was I going to know, right? I think we all have some of those things we can share. Breakout rooms, and of course, we're talking here in terms of the types of synchronous sessions that we do, and breakout rooms are a really effective way of doing it. Okay, and generate the desire in our students to do good in the world. Absolutely. Working with partners, Menti, word clouds, yeah. Um, word clouds are really are fun. They are fun, and it's a great way of putting those ideas out there together and to see what things really work well for others. Okay, so any tools that you've tried? I've got a few that I came up with, but I have a feeling you have more. Plug-in modules. Okay, so I am curious about that. I've had one pretty recent experience with it. Video, audio, and reading, certainly, yeah. And all of the above are a part of engagement and ways of making sure that we have little bits and pieces of each of the above, lots of questions and discussions. Yeah, and some of the discussions can get in really good depth and really keep them focused in the direction that we want them to go. Oh yes, outside speakers. And aren't we fortunate in that we have been exposed in the last 2 years to the opportunities of being able to reach out to people um, that we wouldn't have been able to do necessarily when we were meeting in the classroom. So special presentations live with guest speakers, and that's such a really great way of introducing our students to what's going to happen when they do get out there in the field. And TED Talks. Oh my gosh, I love TED Talks. They are really, really great. Podcasts are also very effective. You all are wonderful. You've got some really great topics in here. This is super. Thank you. You've gone way beyond what I was suggesting, what I had come up with. And so I'm gonna again, this is gonna stay open. Games, yeah, of course. And um the and we've had a couple of professional development sessions on this, and I know there's at least one more coming in the semester of building our courses in such a way that gaming perspective uh, is able to is able to be a part of it, so that we can progress through in an effective way. But I'm going to share with you a few things that I had thought of, but you've got so many more than I ever thought of at all. Some of the opportunities that are available to us, and thinking in terms of our own flexibility in this, shifting things around in order to engage different people, different ways of getting our students actively involved. So um, within assignments, giving them options, as long as you know what the expectation is and they know what the expectation is with the rubric. There might be a variety of ways that they could accomplish what is in the rubric. That does not necessarily have to be a written essay or a whatever you have in mind. They might have some other ideas too. So the variety, different ways of sharing and showing them how to use some of the different tools. Um, Another thing that is a truly important piece of engagement is how we are able to develop the community perspective within our classes. We're all in this together. We are, you and I, as instructors, certainly still maintain a leadership role, but we're all working toward learning in the process, how we go. And reflection, that whole metacognitive piece is such a valuable piece of it. So their perspectives on the field and ways of helping them move in the direction of getting a broader perspective and a true appreciation for the field and ways of having of the evidence of their learning. And so in the technology part of it, and you all created several others that I hadn't thought of. For me, Padlet, Flipgrid, and Slido are my, well, and retrieval practice too, are my go-tos. They are really, really helpful. Padlet, if you haven't tried it, go in there and just take a look around, or I can share a couple of them with you. It gives them an opportunity to post responses to whatever your topic or questions might be, but not only can they post their responses, they can also post images or links to website or links to a video clip. So there's a lot of opportunities within Padlet to be able to share a lot of information. And of course, I'm a big fan of Flipgrid. It certainly is a way of, particularly where we're talking about the whole online environment. Flipgrid is a really beautiful way to involve that interaction where we can see and communicate and interact back and forth and be able to get that feeling of being there together. And along those same lines, any kind of video, you mentioned this in the last Slido poll, any type of video, you can pop in a really quick video response to a question or a video response to an assignment that goes so much easier and it goes quicker. You can actually be a part of interacting with them. And I have been a fan of retrieval practice for quite some time because when you ask students how they study, the things that they typically respond are not the most effective study tools that are out there for them. So retrieval practice gives us a variety of different ways. Um, so engagement involves a variety of different things. We want them to be behaviorally engaged, and this is where they are actively doing things. This is where project-based learning comes in. This is where case studies come in, where they are thinking about what they're going to deal with when they get out there in the field and how they might think about handling different things. Um, the emotional engagement, we all know that when we have linked our emotions with things that we are learning, it's definitely going into long-term memory. I had the opportunity this weekend to um, to see a show that involved music from several other eras, generations, and it is amazing how music has the ability of just taking us instantly into that space. It takes us right back to where we were when we heard it, to how we responded, what our reactions were, and of course, the cognitive engagement. We definitely want and need them to be involved with the content, with what's going on in their world, and how what we are sharing together is going to help them as they move forward. So, in case you haven't figured this out yet, one of the huge keys for student engagement is teacher presence. We've talked about the videos. We talked about including videos in your course. We've talked about creating a quick video in response to a question or in response to something in a discussion board. Um, just all of the things that you can do to make sure that they know that you are there and you are there for them. You might want to also include some conversations about the learning process, about the importance of being aware of how they are processing information, and giving students a stake in the process. That goes back to those choices. You can complete this way, but maybe could complete it that way too, as long as you're accomplishing what needs to be accomplished. And those authentic assessments, those experiences that they are able to actually put themselves into that place, either with project-based learning, or with the case studies that you use. I know several of you are in fields where you do use case studies, and those are important ways of introducing your students to what happens and how to react in a safe and protected environment. And that learning is a cumulative process, and retrieval is an important piece of it. One of the things that I found in an article had to do with some student responses, and I wanted to share a little bit of that. That the end goal of helping a student succeed is an important piece of it. Knowing that you are doing what you're doing because you want them to know the feeling of success and know how important it is. And most of us know this, and it's so hard to get it across to students that the material, and getting a strong understanding, a feel for the material, is far more important than getting an A on a test. Um, but that they can feel that you are there to help them learn. And I think all of you have already experienced and shared this in a variety of ways in the things that we've done so far. Relevance to where they are going, to what they are doing, and real world applications. That it's that they're going to be really out there doing this. And so the better we can provide them that foundation right now. And then, of course, your personal perspective on it, that knowing that it's important to you, and hopefully is important to them as well. So these are all really, really important pieces of it. This is information that you all know. Multiple studies show a correlation between the teacher presence with successful learning, which is where we want them to go. And then this quote that's been around for quite a while, Haim Dino, I'm not sure if that's how the name is pronounced or not, but I am the decisive element in the classroom. And it is my daily mood that makes the weather. And I think all of us have experienced that, and all of us know that walking in the door of the classroom, either the literal door or a figurative door, we close the door and leave the daily issues on the other side of it until we're able to accomplish what we need to accomplish with our students. And that's just part of teaching. Thank you all for joining. Thank you for adding your perspective into this because it's what you do for your students that is what's really the really valuable and important piece of it.